Hi, I'm Lia Chang. Welcome to this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang.
My mentor, National Geographic photographer Michael Yamashita, has captured some of the world's most awe-inspiring photos for 4 decades, combining his dual passions of photography and travel. On this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang, I'll be sharing highlights of East Meets West, a 9-part docuseries produced by Emmy Award-winning journalist Farland Chang, which brings epic chapters of history to life as this legendary photographer shares his lifetime of secrets. I met Mike and Farland in 1993 when I attended my first Asian American Journalists Association convention in LA.
As a Japanese American, I'm interested in the Far East, and now I'm going to get the chance to see a lot of that history come alive. I've always been interested in Marco Polo, but what really got me and deepened my intrigue was reading an article questioning whether he actually made it to China or not. He sailed 40,000 miles across the South China Seas and the Indian Ocean. The only way I can truly understand these great voyages is to make them myself and get a taste of the worlds that Zheng and his crews must have experienced 600 years ago. I've been here at least a half a dozen times, and every time I come here, I'm just totally blown away by the scale.
For sure, you don't want to shoot where everybody else shoots. Photography is not about equipment. What photography is really about is vision.
2,000 monks. It's as like nothing has changed here in the 700 years.
East Meets West is based on Mike's award-winning stories, books, and films. Marco Polo, The China Mystery Revealed, Marco Polo, A Photographer's Journey, Ghost Fleet, The Adventures of China's Zheng, The Great Wall, From Beginning to End, Shangri-La, Along the Tea Road to Lhasa, and New York Flying High.
Greetings from Venice, Italy. My name is Farland Chang, and welcome to our docuseries East Meets West, Journeys Along the Silk Road with NatGeo's legendary storyteller, Michael Yamashita. Venice here is the start of the Silk Road, the ancient trade route linking East and West. Venice is also home to one of the world's greatest explorers, Marco Polo. His overland Silk Road journey comes to life through Michael Yamashita's masterful photography. And from land to sea, Michael also captures the maritime Silk Road as he retraces the epic voyages of one of the world's greatest naval explorers, Zheng from the east. Join NatGeo's own intrepid explorer as he journeys along the Silk Road. And join our cause to illuminate and protect the wonder of our world.
2,000 monks, heads shaven, beards shaven, eating tsampa and worshiping their gods. It's as like nothing has changed here in the 700 years. I come here, I feel like I'm seeing exactly what Marco saw.
Oh my gosh, how's that?
Yep. Look, the sun's almost ready to pop.
Isn't that nice?
Traveling to new lands, exploring new cultures, and sharing their discoveries with the world. That pursuit is what brings our two subjects together. Marco Polo and Michael Yamashita.
So that's some sort of knitting is what she's doing there.
I've never seen that. That was great.
Marco Polo, the Venetian merchant who became known as one of the world's greatest explorers, and Michael Yamashita, the National Geographic photojournalist who has become one of the world's greatest visual storytellers.
I love the way everybody participates. You got all the kids in here as well, looking forward to the feast afterwards. These guys look like regular surgeons.
In this program, get ready to enjoy stunning highlights from Mike's 3-year assignment. With his cameras, Mike is the only photojournalist ever to retrace Marco's epic travels from Italy to China.
And all this human interaction, and that's what turns me on. And those are the pictures that I'm going for.
Marco's 13th century travels are known today as the greatest overland journey ever made. But did Marco truly experience this 24-year odyssey? In Marco's book, why did he never mention the Great Wall of China, or tea, or chopsticks, or the bound feet women in Yunnan province? Was Marco Polo the world's biggest liar?
Oh, yeah.
He follows Marco's book. To the critics and skeptics, Mike unravels the mystery, visually documenting the legendary route through fascinating countries such as Iraq, Iran, Afghanistan, Myanmar, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka.
We're here, the top of Adams Peak for sunrise. Every explorer from Marco Polo to Ibn Battuta been up here.
Much that Marco recorded has not changed. We will move on his trail along an old Silk Road route which winds through impressive mountain ranges. Or look for a hot spring whose waters had been strongly recommended by him 7 centuries ago.
That nice S-curve going up the hill there. Look at that. Isn't that something?
In China, we will follow him across deserts or through metropolitan streets swarming with people. Was it all truth or fiction? Was it real or imagination?
Being a photographer and being able to see scenes like this and record them, because I feel like I'm seeing history and putting it on film, seeing something that won't be here in another 3 or 4 years.
Join us now in search of the answer. Marco Polo, a photographer's journey, with Michael Yamashita in his own words.
So I've been doing stories in the Far East for the National Geographic for the last 40 years, and my biggest concentration in the last 20 years has been following other explorers like Marco Polo, like Zheng, like Basho, the poet, and traveling along their routes. So in the case of Marco Polo, I started, oh gosh, back in more than 20 years, 2000, the year 2000, retracing his routes. He gave more information, geographic information, than ever before. Well, I always say that Marco Polo, if he were alive today, he'd be a photographer or a writer for National Geographic, because basically that's what we do. And in my case, I've been somewhat of, yeah, an ambassador, I would say, in that I bring stories from the Far East where I've traveled and bring them to a mostly Western audience.
This is the moment you live for. I'm searching for something to catch my eye. Well, I've always been interested in Marco Polo, questioning whether he actually made it to China or not. I'm going to retrace his steps. Do you know anything about Marco Polo? Using his book like a guide and make up my own mind. Does he live here? So whether you become a believer or not, what you're about to see is one of the most amazing overland journeys ever made. No wonder he didn't pick up many of their customs. But still, how do you explain Marco's most glaring omission? His failure to mention China's greatest landmark, the Great Wall. Wow, can you believe this? I've been here at least a half a dozen times, and every time I come here, I'm just totally blown away by the scale and grandeur. I feel like I'm on a movie set. When I first read about Zheng last year, I was totally intrigued. How is it that I had never heard of this guy before? He sailed 40,000 miles across the South China Seas and the Indian Ocean, decades before Columbus and Vasco da Gama had made it to the coast of Africa. The only way I can truly understand these great voyages is to make them myself and get a taste of the worlds that Zheng and his crews must have experienced 600 years ago. It smells great. Tell me about it. Monks, heads shaven, beard shaven, eating tsampa and worshiping their gods. It's as like nothing has changed here in the 700 years. I feel privileged being a photographer and being able to see scenes like this and record them, because I feel like I'm seeing history and putting it on film, seeing something that won't be here in another 3 or 4 years. I like sitting on a corner and watching the world go by.
"600 years ago, China emerges from an age of darkness. With the biggest fleet ever assembled, it will forge a new path across unknown oceans, led by a towering admiral 100 years before Columbus. Adventure awaits as National Geographic photographer Mike Yamashita sets out across the South China Sea and Indian Ocean to find out why. Discover an ancient world and reveal this mysterious admiral's extraordinary legacy. A changing point in history. A forgotten hero.
This is the story of two global ambassadors from two different chapters in world history. Two figures united in their pursuit of new discoveries, exploring untouched frontiers, bridging east and west, and fostering peace and friendship through mutual understanding. From Asia, Zheng, China's greatest naval explorer, commander of one of the largest naval fleets ever assembled by an empire. A leader on the brink of conquering the world in the early 1400s. And from America, Michael Yamashita, one of the world's most acclaimed photojournalists, National Geographic's master storyteller, and renowned expert on Asia. The only one who has ever retraced the epic journeys of two of the world's greatest explorers, Marco Polo from the west to Zheng from the east.
Adams Peak. At the center of this island, it stands like a beacon of inspiration and hope. Pilgrims from all over, old and infirm, all make the brutal ascent to its summit. Almost there. We're here, the top of Adams Peak for sunrise. Every explorer from Marco Polo to Ibn Battuta been up here, and we're here because Zheng talks about this sacred mountain in the clouds.
Historians have long been intrigued with Admiral Zheng. He was, as Michael Yamashita describes, China's greatest explorer who you never heard of. Zheng sailed 40,000 miles across the South China Seas and the Indian Ocean decades before Columbus and Vasco da Gama had made it to the coast of Africa.
When I first read about Zheng last year, I was totally intrigued. How is it that I had never heard of this guy before?
And for Michael Yamashita, the only way to truly understand these voyages was to make them himself. Across the China Sea, from Southeast Asia to Africa, and via India onto the Middle East. In this program, Michael Yamashita reveals the dramatic stories behind the stills. After capturing precious pictures of today and testimony of what happened 600 years ago. Zheng embarked on a total of 7 voyages during the Great Ming Dynasty. And during these 3 decades on the oceans, Zheng visited 30 countries, gathering riches beyond imagination, scientific knowledge, fame, and power for his emperor. But history also remembers Zheng He's epic voyages as a tragic story of China's rise and fall, a cautionary tale of arguably one of the worst foreign policy blunders ever made. China's decision to abandon Zheng He's expedition, to withdraw and isolate from the world, all of which led to China's long decline for centuries until recent modern history. Today, more than 6 centuries after Zheng He's first voyage, the forgotten admiral is getting his long-deserved recognition. As we uncover the great legacy that he bequeathed to the world. Join us now as we embark on a new journey between past and present with Zheng He, tracing the epic voyages of China's greatest explorer with Michael Yamashita in his own words. The Great Wall from beginning to end. The Great Wall of China is among the few works created by human hands that exceed the descriptive power of language. Everything about the wall staggers the imagination. Its 4,000-mile length, the incalculable amount of materials and human labor it took to build, and the time it took to complete, 1,800 years. Extending across deserts, seeming to defy gravity as it rises up mountainous terrain, where just walking is a challenge. It is difficult to understand how this immense civil engineering project was carried out using only the most rudimentary tools and materials. It is a monument to mankind's ambition that has not and may never be surpassed in terms of scale and sheer audacity. It is unique in human history. Just more, right? Get ready now to enjoy magnificent highlights of the wall through the eyes of Michael Yamashita, the award-winning National Geographic photographer, as he traveled the entire length of the wall. His book, The Great Wall, from beginning to end, is both a stunning photographic portrait of a breathtaking marvel and a fascinating appreciation of its historic and cultural significance. This remarkable volume is the product of 2 men who are intimately familiar with the wall. Michael Yamashita traveled for 1 year along the wall. He took pictures of the landscapes it traverses, the people who live in its shadow, and inside the structure itself. The book includes 160 of his most remarkable photographs, along with personal recollections of his odyssey. William Lindsay is one of the world's preeminent authorities on the subject and Director General of International Friends of the Wall. He reveals that the Great Wall is, in reality, many walls, the first of which was begun during the Qin Dynasty around 220 BC. The most recent wall, and the one that we are most familiar with today, was completed during the Ming Dynasty around AD 1620. Along the way, the authors offer a wealth of facts and figures and explore a few myths. No, you cannot see the wall from outer space. As a 19th century traveler wrote, there is no better place to study the history of China than from the summit of the Great Wall. Indeed, few places offer a better perspective on man's power to bring a great vision to reality.
Isn't that something? Well, I think any meaningful project comes from passion. Look at that. You see this island where every house is a different color. It's a color photographer's dream. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, there's a lot of bright highlights down there, man. Look at that. That is pretty cool. That's key. For sure, you don't want to shoot where everybody else shoots. But I just shoot whatever I think looks good. Wow. That looks pretty damn good. See what we got here. Beautiful, lost in the mist here. Wowza. What I tell you about photographers paid to be lucky, man. Gives you a sense of scale. Amazing. Because if Venice is sinking, water just bubbles up from the ground and it's creating enough big puddles to make some interesting photographs. As a professional, it didn't matter. I was just interested in making pictures, and that drove me to where I am today. And photography, I made it because of my passion.
East Meets West, now streaming worldwide. For updates, please subscribe, eastmeetswestfilm.com, and prepare to change the way you see our world.
Sharing a vision of bridging East and West. It has been invaluable to be part of an organization of Asian American storytellers, educators, and journalists working towards accurate and fair coverage of Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, Pacific Islanders, and AANHPI issues.
Thank you for joining me for this edition of Backstage Pass with Lia Chang. Until next time.